Hey guys, Coach Dan here at Human 2.0. I'm just going to go over a little routine here that we use for exercises for low back pain. So whether you're just a little bit tight on a daily basis from sitting in your office or being a student or anything like that, this is a good routine that we would recommend for you to give a try and help reduce some of those symptoms, okay? So we're just going to start off with 2 active drills here. We're going to do a couple sets. So we're going to do, the first exercise is called the clamshell, okay? So we really want to warm up those glutes, glute med, so that we can stabilize that hip and ultimately protect that low back, okay? So I'm just going to get into this position here on my side. I'm going to push my hip so that it's stacked over top of the other one. My toes and my heels are staying together and my knees are just underneath my belt buckle. All right, I'm just going to do 10 reps here. Warming up that hip capsule, warming up the glutes. Good. So that is about 10 reps there. I'm just going to switch sides. We're trying to move slow and controlled, right? Trying to really open up, and I don't want to be rolling back onto my back. I'm trying to only move in the hip joint. 4, 5, 6. Good. Next exercise, we're just going to get some movement going in flexion extension, just in the low back though, okay? So it's going to be like a modified cat-cow. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get onto my elbows here. My hips are basically going to be over top of my knees. I'm just going to post up my head, all right, on the ground, just so that I can get some stability here. From here, I'm just going to do a cat-cow, just segment the lower back, so the lower spine, all right? And I'm going to do about 5 reps. So I'm going to arch that low back, and then I'm going to tuck my tail. And that's 1. Arch, and tuck. That's 2. It's not a very big movement. Couple more. And that's good. So again, it's not a very big movement. We're just moving the low back. We're trying to lock everything else in place. That's why we're in that position, okay? So let's just continue our little warm up here. We're gonna do one more set of that. So again, get into this nice, good, neutral position here. Knees are approximately at 90 degrees. And again, we're just opening up, trying to keep the feet together. That's 4, 5. Good. Other side. One, 2. Being aware of whether your torso is moving or not. And good. So I'm definitely feeling a little bit of warmth in that upper hip, in the glute med, glute min area, okay? So that's not a glute max exercise, all right? We're just trying to get some stability there. We'll do a couple more reps here in cat-cow, modified cat-cow. All right, so again, head is down, hands are protecting the neck, and we're just gonna swivel those hips. That's 1. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, good. So those are 2 quick dynamic exercises just to warm yourself up. Now what we're going to do is go into some stretches, mostly for the piriformis, hamstring, and a little bit of the hip flexors, because all those muscles combine into the hip, and they're part of what stabilizes and protects that low back, okay? So we're just going to start with a piriformis stretch. Pretty standard stretch, you've probably seen it before. We're gonna be pretty strict on it though, and we're gonna go 2 minutes a leg. So I'm just gonna get my timer out, all right? And we're gonna cross one leg over, all right? Whenever I start, I'm gonna put my head down. I'm gonna reach my hands through the legs and around and back onto that hamstring, okay? So I'm gonna time myself 2 minutes a leg. My head's gonna go down, and I'm gonna make sure that I keep my tailbone down on the ground, all right? If this is too much for you, maybe we're just starting here, okay? Or maybe we're putting our leg up onto a wall, all right? I can do this progression, and this is my preferred version. So I'm just gonna hold this and breathe, keeping my tailbone down on the ground. I wanna actively think about having this leg out, so I don't wanna just cross over, right? I'm just holding this stretch for 90 seconds to 2 minutes. We're gonna do 2 minutes today. Breathing. Whenever you breathe in, I want you to feel like your low back's pushing into the ground. So we're doing 3-dimensional breathing, so everything is moving together. Good, we're at about 1 minute, 10 seconds. Keeping everything nice and neutral. I want your chin tucked too, so I don't want you to be wrenching on your neck at all. All right, chin tucked, try and keep your shoulders down. And I'm feeling a nice little pull through my piriformis here. About another 20 seconds or so. If you ever go numb in this position, your feet go numb or anything like that, make sure that you come out of it, get feeling back in the area, and then you can get back into the stretch. And good, we'll leave it there. So we'll go right into the next leg. All right. You might notice a difference between legs here. All right, I definitely do. This is harder for me to keep that external rotation for this hip, but that just shows you a little bit of imbalance, which could be leading to my low back pain. Breathing, 3-dimensional breathing. Making sure the tailbone is staying on the ground, shoulders are staying on the ground, chin is tucked. This is a good stretch for anybody, but especially with low back pain, this is definitely going to relieve some tension in that piriformis, which is playing a role on our hip angle, pelvis angle. About 1 minute. And we're going to move on to our hip flexors. Anytime you're looking at an injury of any sort, you want to attack all the angles, right? All the sides of the injury, of the area. About 30 seconds, keep on breathing. I like to try and have a longer exhale than inhale, just to really down-regulate my nervous system. 20 more seconds. Last breath. And then we will slowly come out of it. Take your time coming out of that, all right? Like I said, very important, keep the tailbone down. We don't want to be going into too much flexion on that low back, okay? Next up, we're going to do the couch stretch, okay? So for this, you need a wall or a chair or something like that, all right? Maybe you don't, but I'll show you a couple progressions, all right? It starts as simple as having the leg down on the ground with the toes flipped, okay? But for me, what I can do is I can go up the wall a little bit. Now, I have a preference for my toes being active. All right, it just keeps me in a more stable position. So I'm just going to put that leg up the wall a little bit, okay? Maybe it's lower, maybe it's higher, okay? I want to make sure that my hip can tuck underneath. If I can't get this glute active, then we're too far in this stretch, okay? So where I'm feeling this is right down through the quads and up into my hip flexors a little bit, okay? Again, 2 minutes a leg. Same breathing pattern. We want to keep the ribs down. If I lose that glute and flare my ribs, I have zero stretch right now. That's not the point of this. If you need something for balance, you can use a chair or a dowel or anything like that. Seconds in. You will feel in these stretches, you'll feel yourself kind of melt into the stretch. It should, like the stretch reflex should lighten up a little bit, and then you can get further into the stretch a little bit. All right, but take it slow. You never want to get to the point of pain, right? And if you do have any pain in the low back or anywhere else, stop the stretch. Definitely talk to your physio or your doctor about it and get things checked out if you haven't already. About 40 seconds on this side, and we'll switch sides. Really trying to control the breath. Seconds. And we will slowly come out of it by diving forward, and then we can switch. Right. Generally, you want to be in the same position, okay? But depending on the side and the injury, right? You might be in a slightly different position, but we do want to try and get that symmetrical, okay? So again, I'm going to squeeze my hip underneath. I like to have my hands here just to remind myself it's a feedback tool so that I know that my glute's still on, my hip is pushing forward into this hand, right? I want you guys to, again with that three-dimensional breathing, I want you to think about actually breathing, as you inhale, breathing air down into that area that's being stretched. Almost a minute in. Reminding yourself that glute's on. Staying in a nice stable position. And 2 minutes aside is just the general recommendation that we're going to use today, but if your physio or doctor has prescribed something else, then by all means follow their cue. But generally, whenever we're looking at making any flexibility gains or anything like that, we're looking at a minimum of 90 seconds. We want to stay in the stretch long enough to make change. Otherwise, it's just a temporary solution. 25 seconds, and then we'll go on to our last stretch. Almost there. And we're going to slowly come out of that. Right, definitely stand up, shake it off a bit. Again, if you ever go numb in that, go out of it, right? Move your legs a little bit. And then from there, we're just gonna do the last stretch, a hamstring stretch. So if you have a doorway, it would work well. Most people don't have a post like this in their house, but a doorway works well for this, okay? All we're gonna do is 2 minutes aside again, okay? I'm gonna lie down on the ground beside the post. And I'm going to raise one leg up, keeping my tailbone on the ground, right? And this is a start with this leg bent, okay? So I'm just gonna start like that. 2 minutes, okay? And as we get further into this stretch, we can let that other leg drop, okay? The goal, a lot of people you'll see like this, okay? We wanna try and have that leg down on the ground. Okay, so we're really stretching the hamstrings, behind the knee, into the calf, all right? I don't mind a little bit of movement through the ankle, get a little bit of a neural floss, all right? We talk more about that in our video on sciatica, right? But right now we're just trying to get into the hamstrings a little bit. 40 seconds in, breathing. Same rules apply as the piriformis stretch, okay? So chin is tucked, shoulders are down, tailbone is down. As I inhale, I feel my ribs expand up, laterally and down into the ground. And for this, if you need to get more into the stretch, maybe you can just go forward a little bit more. And then down into it. 45 seconds. Almost there for leg number 1, 20 seconds. And then we'll do the other leg. So again, we started actively warming up the hip, okay? Getting some movement through the low back with the modified cat-cow, and now we're stretching all around that area. And I'm gonna slowly come out of this. All right, if you need to, move to the side. I'm just gonna move, because of the way that this post works, I can just simply move to the other side. All right, adapt your position as you need to. Again, just for the first few seconds, I'm gonna keep my left leg now, I'm gonna keep that bent. Okay, just for the first little bit. And then as I take a couple deep breaths, I'm gonna slowly drop down that leg. So for me personally, I know that this hip flexor is a little bit tighter. So it's a bit more work for me to get my leg down flat to the ground, and I'm feeling definitely more of a pull on this side. About 90 seconds left. As you get better at stretching, you can also forget about the timer as you get better at learning your breath and holding a breath in sequence. So a good kind of ratio is 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. That would be 5 breaths per minute. So if you did 10 good breaths like that, that would be about a 2-minute stretch, right? That takes a lot of practice, but it's definitely something worth training. I can just feel my leg kind of slowly relaxing here. We've got about 25 seconds left. Almost there. Down. All right, stand up, walk it off a little bit. All right, so that's just a quick little routine for back pain relief, low back pain specifically. Again, if you are doing a lot of sitting for work or a student or anything like that, great little routine that adds in a little bit of active stuff as well as some stretching. And other than that, we'll see you next time.